Welcome back to Blacks in Motion. Now we know the Super Bowl is coming up this weekend, and we have two great teams playing, but we also have two quote-unquote great quarterbacks, basically a living legend in Peyton Manning still playing behind the center, and we also have young, up-and-coming quarterback Russell Wilson. And a lot of people felt like, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady matchup in the AFC Championship game was something to be marveled, and it was. It was a good ball game, but mainly because Brady and Peyton are two guys that you're going to have to consider putting in the conversation for best quarterback of all time once they start playing. So it got Cliff to thinking here at Blacks in Motion. Who do I feel are the best quarterbacks to ever play the position in the NFL? And I'm going to go ahead and give you my top three. Yes, a lot of people like to argue this and debate this, but I think you should listen to me. Why? I don't know. I'm here. I'm on Blacks in Motion. And hey, I'm Cliff. I should know better, right? But anyway, we're going to go ahead and start off with number three. Coming in at that first spot is Dan Marino of the Miami Dolphins. And a lot of people might say, Cliff, how can you rank him so high? Well, I'm not real old, but he's a contemporary guy. I was able to see him play. And Dan Marino ended up throwing for over 60,000 yards and over 400 touchdowns. This guy basically owned every passing record there was to own. He was the guy that set the benchmark to say, hey, if you're a passing quarterback and you're going to win and dictate your offense by throwing the ball in the air, Dan Marino was the blueprint to have. He was just a good guy. Now, the only knock against him, he never made it to the Super Bowl. He never won a ring, and that's always going to be the knock. But when it comes to passing offense proficiency and statistics, he's going to probably be your number one guy. Dan Marino, number three. Coming in at number two, John Elway of the Denver Broncos. Look, this guy threw for over 50,000 yards, had 300 touchdowns, but he also accumulated over 3,400 rushing yards. And he played a real gunslinger, Wild Bill type of, game that was very exciting. Now check this out with John Elway. He was a little bit more successful in the championship game. He had 5 trips to the Super Bowl, but he only won 2. But those were back-to-back, and they were late in his career, which was a great accomplishment. He had a great team around him, and he used all of his tools, old and new, as far as teammates and his old withering skills, and he took those guys to the promised land. John Elway at number 2. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. Who could Cliff possibly say is the number one quarterback at all times? And if you are a football fan, you would have to agree with me when I say Joe Montana of the San Francisco 49ers. Look, this guy maybe only threw for 40,000 plus yards in his career and only about 200-some TDs. But hey, let me tell you something. When it comes to the time when it counts and when it comes to going to the Super Bowl, this guy went 4 times and won 4 times. And out of those 4 wins, he was the MVP 3 times. So when it was time for it to count, Joe Montana is the guy you wanted under the center. He was a master of the West Coast offense. A lot of people say it was easy for him to win because he had great teammates around him, namely Jerry Rice at the wide receiver position. But look, when your name is called and it is time for you to perform, that is what you're supposed to do. And he did it so well and did it so calmly, he even got the name Joe Cool. Now, that kind of hurts me a little bit. I'm a Cowboy fan. This guy played for the San Francisco 49ers, but one thing is undeniable. He was the best quarterback to ever play the position. And that's what I believe. And I think that, you're going to have to start considering Peyton Manning and Tom Brady once they retire. Remember, my list only consisted of guys that don't play anymore. But you may agree with me. Maybe you think the Pro Bowl was garbage. Maybe you think it was good. Maybe you think my list of the top 3 quarterbacks is totally wrong. Maybe I forgot somebody. Maybe you think it's on point. Either way, let me know. I want to hear from you. Go ahead, hit me up in my email, cliff@blackvideonews.com. And as always, stay logged on and love us right here at Blacks in Motion.